Hi everyone, welcome to Science Talk. And today we'll be looking at a vital topic. As we all know, the activities and survival of life on Earth can be affected by several factors. And one of these factors is the ultraviolet radiation from the sun. And we all know that the Earth is made up of several layers. And one of these layers is the stratosphere. And at the stratosphere, the gas called ozone is in abundance. So in today's training, we'll be looking at the topic, the chemistry of ozone layer depletion. We'll be discussing what ozone is, what is ozone layer, what are the causes of ozone layer depletions, and we'll also be talking about the various measures or actions that can be taken to ensure that the rate at which ozone layer depletion takes place is being reduced. So what is ozone layer and what is ozone? Ozone is a bluish and a poisonous gas that is abundant in the Earth's stratosphere. And the ozone consists of 3 molecules of oxygen. The ozone layer is a region of the Earth's stratosphere that contains high concentration of ozone molecules. Ozone layer plays a crucial role in absorbing the majority of the sun's harmful ultraviolet radiation, hence protecting life on Earth from the adverse effect of excessive ultraviolet radiation exposure. So what is ozone layer depletion? It is the gradual thinning of the ozone layer in the Earth's stratosphere. And this phenomenon is primarily caused by the release of certain man-made chemicals such as chlorofluorocarbons, which break down ozone molecules. And ozone layer depletion can lead to increased level of ultraviolet radiations reaching the Earth's surface, posing serious threat and risk to human health. So we'll be looking at how the ozone layer is being depleted. What are the things that takes place during ozone layer depletion? We'll be looking at mechanisms and equations. Aerosols such as chlorofluorocarbons released from various human-made sources make their way into the stratosphere by destroying the troposphere and the ozone layer. So what happens is that these chemicals we use, the aerosol sprays, the propellants, when we use these substances, CFCs are released into the atmosphere and find themselves into the stratosphere, where they interact with ultraviolet radiations such as UVA, UVB, and UVC. So when these CFCs interact with such ultraviolet radiation, something happens. There is a breakage and chlorine molecules or atoms are released. And when these chlorine atoms are released, there is another interaction with ozone, which leads to the formation of chlorine monoxide and oxygen. As you can see from my screen, we have 4 steps. We're looking at what really takes place during ozone layer depletion. Step 1. As you can see from the diagram, that's from the left side of the screen, we have the refrigerator, we have the air conditioner, we have the aerosol spray. These are major sources of chlorofluorocarbons. So the chlorofluorocarbons emission reach the ozone layer at this stage. And then when they get to the ozone layer, something else happens again. Step 2 says CFCs are broken down by the sun's ultraviolet rays, releasing chlorine atom into the ozone layer. As you can see from the diagram, looking at the sun as from the right side of the screen, there is a depletion of the ozone here because the CFCs have interacted with the ultraviolet radiation from the sun, and then chlorine atoms are then released into the layer. Then what happens at step 3? Active chlorine atom then break down the ozone molecules, causing ozone layer depletion. As you can see, there's a depletion from my diagram, and then you can see the ultraviolet rays from the sunlight passing through and then reaching the Earth's surface. Step 4. More and more ultraviolet radiations reach the Earth, threatening human health. Still looking at mechanisms and the question, how is the ozone layer being depleted? What really takes place? So the chlorine monoxide that has been released during that depletion process interacts with other oxygen molecules or atoms within the stratosphere, and then there's a breakage again. Another chlorine atom is released and then oxygen is formed. The free radical chlorine again reacts with other ozone molecules, destroy the structure, and then produces a catalytic cycle of chlorine, and the cycle continues on and on as long as these CFC substances are being released into the atmosphere and then to the stratosphere. This is also an illustration of what I've explained earlier of what really takes place during ozone layer depletion. So what are the causes of ozone layer depletion? We have the man-made sources, we have the natural sources. There are natural sources of ozone depleting substances and there are man-made sources. So beginning with the man-made sources. The man-made sources of ozone layer depleting substances is responsible for almost 90% of total depletion. It occurs mainly due to excessive release of chlorine and bromine from ozone depleting substances such as chlorofluorocarbons, halons, carbon tetrachloride, hydrochlorofluorocarbons, and methyl bromide. So we'll be looking at the various ozone depleting substances and their sources. Chlorofluorocarbons, major sources are refrigerators, air conditioners, air coolers, solvents, and drying agents. What are the major sources of halons? Some of our fire extinguishers contain this. Even some electrical equipment such as computers and military equipment in ships, aircraft, and tanks. These are also sources of halons. Another substance is carbon tetrachloride. Major sources: degreasing agents, refrigerant, fumigants, and fire extinguishers. Hydrochlorofluorocarbons, major sources are refrigerators, air conditioners, insulating foams, and aerosol propellant. Methyl bromide, major sources pesticides and fumigants. Still looking at the major causes of ozone layer depletion. Natural sources. What are the natural causes of ozone layer depletion? They are sunspots and stratospheric winds. And together, they contribute not more than 1 to 2% of total depletion of the ozone layer. So their effect is temporary. Consequences of ozone layer depletion or the impact of ozone layer depletion. It results in skin cancer and eye cancer in animals. It also causes damage to human health. If ozone layer is depleted completely, humans will get directly exposed to intense UV from the sunlight, and overexposure to these rays is responsible for skin cancer, sunburns, immune deficiency disorders, and rapid aging. So how does ozone layer depletion affect plant growth? How does this take place? Several crops such as barley, wheat, corn, oats, rice, and tomatoes are vulnerable to intense light, especially ultraviolet radiation. And this can lead to a reduction in their growth rate, flowering, and even their photosynthesis. Looking at chemical degradation, ozone layer depletion can lead to chemical degradation. How does this occur? When the ultraviolet radiation from the sun finds its way into the Earth's surface and interact with man-made chemicals such as plastic, fabrics, rubber, etc., they get degraded. And when these substances get degraded, what happens? Increased toxicity, environmental pollution, and the likes of that. It can also pose a serious threat to marine life. How does this happen? The growth of certain marine planktons decreases when they are exposed to high ultraviolet light. Also, severe reproductive defects happens or occurs in fishes. And you know what happens when there is the reproductive defect? It leads to the decrease in the population of these fishes. Solutions. What are the measures that should be put in place? What actions do we need to take to ensure that the rate at which the ozone layer is being depleted is reduced? Number one, replacing halon-based fire extinguishers with other foam-based fire extinguishers. Let's look for alternatives. Let's avoid fire extinguishers that contain ozone depleting substances. Let's discourage the use or purchase of refrigerators and air conditioners that use CFCs as refrigerant. This can go a long way in reducing the rate at which the ozone layer is being depleted. And then servicing electrical equipment, air conditioners, air coolers. When you service this equipment periodically, that could go a long way in reducing the rate at which CFCs are emitted. And then discouraging the use of cleaning solvent that contains CFCs. And then we encourage the use of eco-friendly cleaning products. This could also help. And then we minimize the use of personal vehicles. Yes, we minimize the use of personal vehicles. We encourage that you use public transports at least once in a while. This could help in reducing greenhouse gases that deplete the ozone layer. And then prohibiting the use of air pollutants such as nitrous oxide that decompose ozone into nitrogen dioxide and oxygen. Yes, pollutants like nitrous oxides. Nitrous oxides are ozone depleting substances too, or gases. Avoid the use of fossil fuels and increase dependency on renewable energy sources. Let's ensure that we use more, let's rely on renewable sources of energy. Let's look into that. This could also help. So at this moment, we've come to the end of today's presentation. But in conclusion, ozone layer depletion, which is a major issue globally, needs and requires our attention. We all have role to play. You have role to play. The government have role to play. Let's ensure that our activities and things we do, the policy we make, are safeguarding the environment and not destroying it. Thank you for listening. See you in our next training video. Thank you and have a nice day.